y'all, I'm Steve with Elev8, and we got a really cool Elev8 tonight with Clarkie Clark Glass. Wow. This guy is really awesome. His work is phenomenal. The wigwag work, the recyclers that he's created now, it's just fire. I can't wait for this interview. Another thing I want to throw out there real quick though is we are looking for brand ambassadors, help to grow Elev8. We need your help. Check out Elev8 dolls and really cool stuff. Anyways, let's roll into this Elev8 8. Welcome. We got Clarkie Clark Glass here. Thanks a lot for joining us. How you doing today?
Good, man. Thanks for having me.
Hell yeah. First question is, how did you get into this glass blowing, this wonderful thing that I love so much? And you apparently too.
Yeah, that's when I was in college. I won't say any names, but I used to get some weed off of a glass blower where I went to college. And, you know, he knew I was really into glass. I was collecting a lot of glass at the time. And this was like in 2010 or 11. And one day he's like, oh, you know, like some big name at the time, you know, was coming to his shop. And like glass blowers do, he never showed up. And the guy felt bad. And he's like, you want to like try blowing glass? So he let me push some marbles real quick, and he let me come over a couple more times. And then a couple of years later, I could not stop thinking about it. So I just had to buy equipment in 2014.
Hell yeah! So you kind of got the bite, and then the venom stood in you for a year or two, and then finally you got into it.
Yeah, man, it just kept on. You know, I couldn't stop thinking about it. I wanted to do it. Where I lived in the time was upstate New York. So besides from the one guy, there was like maybe a group of people in Troy that did it. What was it? Prism Glass Gallery. And I'd stop by there. They had like, you know, First Friday in Troy where you could walk around and do like whatever. But they had, you know, parties, and they'd let you into their studio and watch. You know, I got to watch like Scott Griffin blow glass.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was really cool. So then I was like, oh man, like there's people making money on this stuff. I thought it was just, you know, people that are like, you know, hustlers that just made pipes, you know what I mean? So yeah, man.
Man, that's really cool. How did you get your glass name? I mean, I'm assuming Clark is your first name, but I don't know.
Actually, Clark is my last name. It's my first name's Zach, but my grandfather, before he passed, he was an artist as well, and he, you know, all his coworkers. I don't know if you remember window displays from like the 90s and even before. So he did all those window displays and decorations. You know, they're custom, and you know they all called him Clarkie. And when he passed, I kind of took it on.
Right on.
As a name, yeah.
That's really cool, man. So how long have you been behind the torch?
It'd be 7 years in December.
Hell
you know,
yeah.
and then of course, if you count, you know, pushing marbles with my buddy up in college, you know, it was almost 10 years ago that happened. You know what I mean? But
time flies, huh?
Yeah, it goes quick, man.
What items did you start out with? You know, you mentioned your, you know, pushing the mushrooms and whatnot. But when you first started getting into glass, what was your main passion? Was it marbles or pipes or?
You know, at that point in time, I guess I had a little Alpha, which is, you know, a tiny little, you know, $200 burner. I could make like marbles. I could make attempts to make it inside out pipes and shaping pipes. You know, it's something that would take me like maybe 8 minutes now is taking me 2 hours at the time to like stripe glass and weld it in with this little burner. So I wanted to do what I was doing now. I remember walking in the Prism and being like, I want to make that. And that he was like, do you have a lathe? And I'm like, no, I barely have a torch, you know, but yeah, I don't know. I just kind of through time, you get a bigger torch, and then I was able to make what I wanted to make. But I wanted to make, you know, I always wanted to make headies. I figured eventually when it is legit, doctors, lawyers, you know, are going to get into it. And it's going to be like a fine bottle of wine. And I was like, man, if I could get into it and, you know, at the right time and like people can get into the art at the right time, then maybe I can really do something with it, you know?
Yeah, and it sounds like you pretty much did, because man, it takes, you know, I think everybody's different, but it takes a good 5 to 10 years to really like hone your skill and start finding who you are and develop that. So, and now's the time, it feels like.
Yeah, I'm getting closer. You know, I feel like 10 years is where you like it was really defined if you become somebody or not.
Yeah.
But by 5 years, you know, you should have a technique that you know that you can do and you can do well. You know what I mean? Like you're known for it. And it's like, you know, maybe at that point you should have like a product that's like not a copy. You know what I mean? In my opinion. And if you can do those things by 5 years, by 10 years, yeah, you should be kicking some ass, I think, you know?
Right. And that's nice to say that, you know, it's a 10-year process to really, if you want to be an artist, 10 years minimum to say, hey, I'm over here, take a look.
Yeah. I mean, like, honestly, like all the rock stars, they're really 20 years in,
Yeah.
25 years in. You watch them blow glass and it shows, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. That's really cool. So did you have a mentor when you first started? Because I know you got to meet those guys, but it doesn't sound like.
No, not really. You just run into, you know, you do your thing. And if you can get yourself like, I ran into these guys, they let me watch, you know, I watched a couple guys blow glass, kind of had an idea what was going on. And then when I got myself in a studio up in Breckenridge, Colorado, I moved uh, across the country to get a job. And, you know, like I said, I was in college. I went to school to be an engineer or for physics, and I wanted to be an engineer. So I moved across the country at that point, and I was in Breckenridge, and I ran into a glass blower happenstance. I'd sold a couple pipes to a shop. I met this wily kid who's like, "Oh man, you make pipes? I know exactly who to buy them." She took me up to Stevie in Frisco. She bought, you know, a couple for pipes I had. I was blown away that somebody would. And sure enough, like a year later, she called me up and she's like, "Hey, you know, all the glass blowers that I was supposed to have in my little demo backed out. Can you show up?" And I was like, "I haven't blown glass in like a year. Fuck yeah." So yeah, and then because of that, I happened the guy who brought all the equipment and set it up was like, "Hey, come blow glass in my garage. I'm not gonna do this because I'm not gonna make any money off of it, but like, you know, let's hang out." And then I got to blow glass with him. We set up a studio. I met a ton of, you know, ton of guys in and out of that Breckenridge studio, and then I moved down to Denver. It's just meeting other glass blowers, really,
Right.
you know. That's helped me as far as mentorships. Like, you know, you're talking 2014. People are kind of still like a little like, don't look at this, you know. Like I'm not going to teach you. Whereas now I'm like, I'll show anybody. If you can do it, you're going to figure it out anyways. You know what I mean? I'm like, right, might as well get you there quicker.
Right, right. And then, you know, that's what a great pleasure of being, you know, being able to do stuff is to pass that knowledge down. So, yeah, that's cool. They're going to figure out either way, and to be able to help them is cool. So,
I mean, they will. I mean, if they're not going to, then it doesn't matter if you show them anyways. Because if they're not going to put in the work, then it doesn't matter. You know, it's not just like here's how I do it. You get it. You really got to put the time in. You know what I mean? I think that's why somebody like Eugene, he's like got like 27 Filicello videos because it's like, yeah, spend the 5-10 years just learning this one technique, and they're like, I don't care if you copy it to the T, you earned it. You know.
absolutely, absolutely. What classes have you taken, or if any?
I've done the banjo class. That was not his Devi. It was the classic technique. He did like a pillar bubbler that with the, you know, it was killer. And then last year I did Tucson with Yushin.
Hell yeah. Do you recommend classes to people? Do you feel they helped you out much?
If you're gonna pay attention, yeah, I think so. Like, you know what I mean? If you're gonna go be a burnout and like, you know, like not really interested in what the guy is doing, or like you have an ego and you're not like willing to like really be like, there's a reason why it's taken him 3 times longer to do it than the average person. You know, you gotta really look at what they're doing. You know what I mean? And be like, why is it this way? You know what I mean? Some people, they just don't. But if you want to learn, definitely go.
Hell yeah, hell yeah. Where do you get the inspiration for the creativity in your glass?
Uh, just look at everybody else. I love glass so much, and I see what everybody else is doing. Makes me want to make something equally as appealing. You know what I mean? So a lot of it comes from just looking around and seeing art and whatnot.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep. I feel that, man. It's somebody somehow figures out a new. I remember recyclers, and you're like, "What the fuck is that?" Like, and then all of a sudden you attempt it. Who is it? Man, it's not Hand to Man, but I feel like it's Waterworks, the guy up in Denver. I feel like he was the one who created the first one, and and everybody does them, and you're doing them to
Mhm.
amazing stuff now.
Yeah, I mean that's the other part of it too. If I can take what somebody else is maybe doing and be like, all right, how can I make this my own? So and then like maybe elevate it to like something that's a little bit more difficult to make. You know what I mean? That way, like whoever comes along behind me, if they add a little bit and elevate it, then you're like, it's gonna be badass. You know what I mean? That's what I'm hoping to do. It's just about maybe one up on each other, like nicely. You know what I mean? It's not like a mean thing, but it's like, wow, if he can do that, then like what can I do? Like why I use the disc on these the ball floating recyclers that I do is I was like, holy shit, you don't need hoses to move the water up for your recyclers. I'm like, you can do anything. You can do squares, it's like
Yeah,
whatever you can figure out. And that's why I like the disc, because it's like, oh man, it's just not a hose. It's like you can add something to it, you know what I mean, or whatever. And the ball in the center, I like it's like, oh, well, maybe instead of just having this little 4-hole thing in there, if there's a ball in there, you can kind of create like a flow where the bubbles break down, you know what I mean? Instead of just like, oh, I see how he did it, but what if I did this? You know what I mean? What if I added this to it? That's what I'm kind of going for. I don't know. I'm kind of
yeah.
rambling, I suppose.
No, I love it. I think competition is great. The reality is we're apex predators. We're super competitive. A lot of us are, some aren't, and that competitiveness in a friendly way, just, I want it. I want to see what you did. And then I want to take it and try to do it and then do it. And then I want you to do it too. It's like chess. Just keep going back and forth. And I think, Instagram is a pain, but it really allows artists to just grow, I think.
I think so, because like a lot of the guys I met coming up, they did have the 20 years of experience, but maybe like one guy in particular, maybe you're in like Louisiana, you know what I mean? You're the only glass blower for 100 miles. And like, all you have to look at is like the maybe import stuff that, the shops bring in and your stuff. And maybe, what it before online, they weren't able to be like, oh, these guys in Oregon are doing this, and these guys in Pennsylvania are doing this, and now we can it's all like one hive mind of like,
Yeah.
this is what's possible, like when you start to see the devies and like any sculpted pieces, like the same pieces, you're like, wait, you can make fucking action figures out of glass. Like what the fuck are you doing, dude? I didn't know that was real. And if he wasn't on Instagram, I'd have no fucking idea until I went to the trade show. And maybe I walked past his booth, or like this year, I couldn't even leave my booth, and many other guys couldn't leave their booth. So like
So
maybe I
you were
wouldn't
at
even,
Las Vegas.
yeah, I was there, what was it, last week or whatever?
Yeah,
Yeah.
great energy. Yeah, I was there too. Just like you couldn't leave the booth. The energy was phenomenal. If you did get to go use the bathroom and walk by, the new art that's there was just, it was neat.
It was cool, man. Like right behind me, like directly behind me was Yushine, and by the time I got over to Yushine's table, I didn't even get to see any of his pieces. You know, it was just like it was that crazy, and it was the same for I kind of made people leave the pieces on my the table until wrap up day, but It was great. I've never felt anything like it. Like, it felt like a Black Friday rush, I think, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I've never been on the other side of that where everybody, I got to share a booth with, Raven Copeland is. He does
Yeah.
these monster orbs that are killer. And then Sergio Tori Glass, who does killer fasting, working a bunch of his own marble styles, and then Beat 'em Glass, who does the gloves. So like it was a phenomenal experience for us.
Hell yeah, man. Yeah. Good stuff. What are your favorite items to blow? Pipes, rigs, pendants, or recyclers?
Oh, hold on, my camera turned off on me.
You're all right.
I gotta touch it every 20 minutes. It's one of those DSLRs. It's got like a timer on it. I forgot.
Yep.
Favorite thing to blow. Anything that I don't know how to make quite yet. Anything I'm figuring out. That's my favorite thing to do is to
I love that answer.
to make something I don't know. You know what I mean? It gets a little repetitive, and then right now I'm like I used to hate making this. Now I love making them because I'm like really trying to refine them. Like I want them to be so particular, and I want them to look such a certain way that I'm having a lot of fun making them, and I can't do it like the way it is in my head. I want a straight line down the middle in the middle section of a wigwag with a 13-point wigwag.
Uh-huh.
Like I can get like I'm about halfway there. I can get the 12, but they'll go like one will be out of line in the center. The sides will be perfect, but one out, and I'm like, that's bad. So right now, that's what I love doing. Trying to I can't figure it out for the life of me. I'm gonna figure it out. I'm gonna get one of those magnifying glasses, like one of the big ones, and I'm gonna sit there with a magnifying glass. I'm probably gonna do it after this interview. In fact, I'm gonna get the
I love it.
magnifying glass. I'm gonna get that center line right. Yeah. So anything I can't do right, I like doing. I like trying to figure it out.
Are you doing the wigwag style or the bender back style for your wigs?
I do the wigwag style, but lately I've been kind of doing a slight bender back when I'm doing my tip, and I like it a little better, like where I'm just bending it very slightly, but I'm not getting both end. I'm not doing it to get both wigwags. I'm just doing it to get the point, and then
All
I'll
right.
straighten it out at the end. So I've never really done the bender back. I've seen people do them, but again, the people that do the bender back, I hate to say it, but that middle line, it looks like the heartbeat rhythm, where it's like not quite like if you like flowing, where it's like one. Like I've heard somebody say, like it should look like you can thread a needle through it.
Yeah.
That's been and the bender back kind of like twitches just ever so slightly. I think. I don't know. It's just who knows,
Yeah, and I think both techniques, once you refine it and figure it out, you can get that straight line.
Yeah.
But
I
that
hope
straight
so.
line is freaking hard to do. And, that's why Eugene is who he is, because he has figured out how to get what the average person said, oh, it's just a wigwag. Well, it's not a wigwag. It's a perfectly laid out wigwag that is balanced evenly. And that's the hard part.
That's the hard part, because then you're talking when you pop your holes for the reversal, like it's gotta be, 100% dead on with where you want it to be across. Because if it's not, then the whole wigwag's gonna shift to one side, the other up or down. So, there's a problem in itself. And then you got to get all the edges straight, where it's like, half of them go up, half of them go down. And then like what he's done is lined up that center, where it's perfect. And I'm still trying to wrap my head around it, really. So,
Yeah, I just heard you say the problem solving, figuring it out, and I heard you mention that you were going to school for or engineering and physics and whatnot.
Yeah.
And a lot of people I talked to, I too was going to go to college for engineering and shit like that, but I think it's about what is electrical engineering or any type of shit. It's solving problems. And I think that is what glass is so cool. Like there's just a billion problems to solve to refine that if you want to.
If you want to, that's exactly what I was going to say. If you have that desire, because I see a lot of people, and they'll be like, I could put more wig wags together than anybody else. But I'm like, yeah, but like they have like 3 kicks in it and they're crooked. Like it's like what are we trying to do? If you're trying to just put more things together, but one of the pieces I bought to Las Vegas had 26 wig wags on one of my
Holy
you know what
shit.
I mean? So on the neck it had four where they went out, and the 2 wigwags without picking out the center. So it was, looked like this. And if you want to figure out how to get to that, it took me a week to figure out how to do it, how to put 4 wigwags together without picking holes in the center or having blow tubes on the side. If you want to figure it out, it's one thing. But if you just want to say, oh, yeah, I put 4 wigwags together and just throw them together, it's a completely different thing. So it's like, what does it mean to you? I get where people would be like, yeah, it's just a wig bag. What's the matter? Like the cut, like this guy doesn't get it, but I'm like, yeah, but the guy who gets it, and that's the guy I'm going for.
And the people eventually that get it, I believe those people do have more money because they do get stuff, the art of this, whatever it is, and they want to earn that, and then they want to give that to people that also get. I think it's
Yeah,
just life. You get what you put in, and
yeah, sure. I mean, it definitely is, and people who are into it really can tell. As at Las Vegas, that's one thing I noticed. I was like, you can tell the difference between me and like these guys over here, and it's kind of interesting. Like I am putting in the work to make sure it's not just a product. You know what I mean? Like right now, I've been working on Filicellos in the background, and I'm like, I can do them. And I see a lot of people putting Filicellos on their pieces that are this quality, but I'm like, I'm not putting this on here until, you know, I know that it's something that people can tell that it wasn't just like, oh yeah, I can do it. You know what I mean? I want people to know, oh, this guy put in the work and made sure he's refined enough that it matches the quality of the rest of his work. And I can bring them, eventually together with whatever I decide to do in the future.
yeah, that's a neat point you just brought up that, as a blower, you can refine your skill to a certain set. And then when you find a new project or technique you want to bring on, you're almost kicking back. Like you can keep doing this, but you can't add on to that until you get back to the beginning of that, get that to your skill set. And as all of this builds, each time it's almost like you're going maybe not further back, but you got to go back and you got to bring it up and go back and
Yeah.
just
Maybe you start at the halfway point because it's a lot easier. I've
yeah.
practiced Filicellos in the past. And now I'm like, okay, it's not so hard to draw with these hair stringers, but yeah, you got to go back to the beginning. You can't just think like, oh, I sell like this product for $1,000, and now I've slapped this weird looking reticello on there, and now it's worth $2,000. Like, no, dude, you got to make that reticello the quality of your product to get it to even put it on there. You can throw it out there and be like, hey, look, this is what I'm working on. Or maybe you get a good one time and you put it on the piece, but like to just go right off day one, like, oh, I'm going to spend a week and I'm going to be like a killer, whatever, I'm going to be Kai Beck or whoever, pick your dude. Like, I'm going to do millies and I'm going to fucking make Wonka chips and kill it. Now, well, he's spent literally years refining this technique. And if you want to be able to kill it like him, you better be willing to put in the time like he has.
And I'm sure that guy and most artists are like, bring it on, because it's friendly competition. So people want to keep seeing that and say like, man, he took my style and did this and tweaked it like that. Like, I didn't think that was possible. So I think it's just really neat to see it. Maybe not wars, but little competitions, I guess, self-created.
Yeah, I don't think anybody put, if you put in 10 years of your life to do something perfect, I don't think anybody's going to get mad at you for doing it better. You know what I mean?
Right.
You did it, like nobody's mad at Vogel or, like any of those guys that are doing these 96 line Filicellos with Dyke Row and yeah, way to go. You killed it. Like, I don't like you look at them and I don't think you can draw with something half the size of a hair. Like, I don't think it gets any smaller than that. I really don't. I think where they're at now, like John W. and those guys, like, I think they brought it to the point where like if the next generation figures out how to bring it to another point and they double 96 lines and Like that's gonna be some crazy looking shit. I don't know how they're gonna do it.
Yeah. And they're probably like, bring it on. Let's see it.
They would be more than happy. Hit them both up. I'm sure. I know Vogel would be like, dude, you're gonna do double? Like, let me come over and help out. He'd
Yeah.
be more than happy to see it.
Right. Um, what's the most difficult piece you've ever attempted?
It's a difficult piece. Those peyote pillars are pretty complicated, man. I haven't come back to it. It beat me like 2 years ago, and I haven't come back to it because I wanted to make a fully work version of it, and it looked like shit, and it looked so bad that I had to drop it. Maybe I'll come back to it someday, but I could not figure that piece out with the, you know, I think maybe I could figure it out now, but it was the sleeve version of the peyote perk. And I can't quite figure out how they're making it all work. I couldn't then. Now I have two torches on the lathe, and I can maybe figure it out because you got to seal the internal and the jacket at the same time. So maybe I can do it, but I don't know. That I was like, I'm, you know, leisure and sovereignty, and the guys who do that. I'm like, hey, holy shit, you guys got some brain power, you know.
Yeah, yeah, it's crazy those things, and just finding that one technique, and I'm sure you'll find it. You know, it's just like, man, I couldn't believe it was that simple, and he did, and it's like you said, it might be just going in using two torches.
I think so. I remember thinking at the time, I was like, if I had two torches, I could do this, but I didn't have that Nortel National hooked up at the time, and that thing is like basically the only thing you need on a lathe. You know, it does all the work for you. So I think if I had the Nortel and the links going over on the shell, I think I probably could have got them both sealed together properly, the internal and the external. But maybe I could draw it out again. There's a better way to do it too. I've kind of been looking at them recently, and I'm like thinking that maybe I was going wrong. Think I came up with a different process when I was looking at it last time. I was like, if you do it this way, it might be a little easier. But yeah, those are trouble, man. Those are, you know, I don't have a reason to do it now. I'm getting away from the lathe work again.
Okay.
But if I get around to going getting interesting in the scientific work again, that probably be something I'd like to see is a fully worked, you know, where the pillars are wig wagged and everything's but I don't know. That was too hard for me at the time.
Hell yeah. Um, do you collaborate often?
Yeah, as often as I can. I mean, the problem has been lately is all my friends are booked for months and months and months. So I was supposed to do one with Steezy on Sunday. We talked about it. I saw him on Monday, and then I think both of us were like, I think we need to get started on these orders. That's kind of way, at least I felt. So we kind of both. I'll call him when it's a little bit like, at least when we got two of them done, you know, or a couple of them done. We're gonna have to take breaks. I'm booked out for at least 4 months. I have 100 and something pieces to make right now. So
That's
and
great,
they
man.
take me a day, and he's got the same problem. And I know that JFK just said he's booked out for the full year. I think the most of the industry's booked out like that. So
Absolutely. It's good stuff.
yeah, and so
Oh
I
yeah.
think that's going to be the trouble is managing time. But I have a couple lined up. We'll see when
Hell
they
yeah.
work out.
What's the most amount of time that you've put into a project before?
The one I just did, that was the 26 wig wags. That was 30 hours. I did in
Wow.
2 days. Yeah.
That's a long time, man. A lot of pressure towards the end because you've got so much work. And do you
Yeah.
like the pressure?
Now I do that. I can handle it. You know, I'm pretty confident that if I do it right, and I know if I do it how I know to do it, like, you know, the correct way and don't cut corners, I know it's going to work out, you know, and like, instead of being like, oh, you know, slap it on there. Like, I'm pretty confident if I take my time that whatever I do will turn out, you know? So
Oh yeah.
yeah, no, it's not so bad now.
Um, do you consume yourself cannabis?
Yeah. Yeah. I consumed right before we started. Yeah.
Right on. Do you like flower concentrates, or you just love the cannabis plant?
I love it all. You know, like I'll make my own. I'll press my own rosin or whatever it's called. I can't keep up with the names
Don't
nowadays.
matter.
You know, and I grow and yeah, man. Like I like the flower. I like unaltered flower a lot. I find that if I'm dabbing from the second I wake up until it's a long day for me. Find there's a lot more cell phone time and fucking sitting on the couch and blow instead of blowing glass. So usually I'll wait until the end of the day to break out the rig, you know. But during the day it's a lot of flower.
Right on. Do you, when you do use a rig or your stuff, do you use your own stuff or do you use other people's stuff?
For a rig I use my stuff, like my second quality, or maybe like you know, like uh the prototypes I end up using a lot. But for flower, you know, I like JP Toro's work. If he's I've had it, I got like a Toro it's got to be like 13 years old, and I keep it clean and everything. So that's it. That's what I've been using for like flower. You know what I mean? They're big rigs, man.
Yep.
I'm not gonna make one of the like a hate to say it, but production flower piece. You know, I'm not gonna make it.
Yeah.
People ask me all the time, "You're gonna make a product?" No, I'm not going. I'm not going to do it. Like I would like to. If I would do it, I'd do it like Jake T does, and it's work top to bottom. But that, like, each one of his sections are 4 to 6, and then he'll do 6 down, and then plus the base. So there'll be. I mean, like what I did was very small compared to what he's doing. You know what I mean? Like putting the wigwags out. So if he's doing 40 sections of wigwag like that's something I'd be into, you know, making
Right.
like, but that's a lot of work, man. And I'm always worried, like if I put a week worth of wigwags into a piece, like who's gonna pay for it? You know?
Yeah,
At
you
the
got to
end of the
find
day.
that perfect little place because it is great to make stuff and do it. But you know, we got to get paid for our time too because food costs money, experiences cost money, and life ain't free.
Yeah, you know, I know it was. I'm never like I don't like sitting on glass for too long because the longer I sit on it, the more that I feel that I've moved on from the quality of it, even if it's been like a week. You know, I'd be like, well, I figured all this shit out now. Like, I don't want
Right.
to look at last week's work. You know, I work 7 days a week, so a week's time is quite a bit of difference in quality for me. I feel like, to me, and to everybody else it looks the same, but to me it feels like different. So, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I like that point. That's a good point there. Um, what can we look forward to you from in the future?
Um, I'm definitely going to do, like, I think I can do more than 26 wigwags on this piece. And I think in the future, between orders, since I have so many of them, if I don't give myself time to do the stuff I want to do this year, that I'm never going to be able to do it. So I'm gonna do 2-3 day pieces at least where I'm spending, you know, 15 hours on work for myself that I can let sit around, you know, to the point that I just talked to. Because if I have the orders coming in and I take like a 2-3 day break, it's not really a break because I'm still working, right? But a break to be like, okay, like what can we do? How much further can we get if we spend this time on it? And then like if it sits, it's okay because I'm already supposed to be working on an order that I am, you know, going to eat on, you know.
Right, right. Man, I love your work ethic, man. 7 days a week. That sounds like myself, just crushing it, pushing it in there because it's not work. It's a passion.
I they tell me, they keep on telling me to take breaks. I'm like, look, like in my opinion, like, look, if you were a professional snowboarder or a surfer and you were traveling to Australia and like doing whatever, you know, like on the best slopes or best waves, and somebody's like, man, when are you gonna stop going to like Hawaii and Australia, stop surfing? You'd be like, you're a jackass, dude. Like, do you not see those waves and how nice it is out here? Like, I'm living the life. Like, this is what I want to do. These are my waves. You know, the flames are my wave. It's what
Yeah,
I want to do. I don't mind.
I always feel bad for people when they say, "Oh, you should take a break," or vacation, or this or that, because society has built this thing when you go to school, you become this new drone for this, and then you do this, and so it's laid out. But then there's people that find their passion, and like you get one shot at this, and if you're finding doing something you love, it's not work. It's you being you, and I think the other people should understand that if you see somebody that don't work too hard, fuck that thing. Don't work too hard. I'm sorry you don't work hard enough, bro. Like,
well, yeah, it's the thing. It's just not. It's like it's a life work, man. I got in a motorcycle accident 3 years ago. And I woke up to paramedics, broke my collarbone, 6 ribs. You know, I had like a puncture on my lung. Fuck myself up, man. And I was like, shit. Like, you don't know, man. Like, if like a meteorite could fucking hit me right now as we're talking, that'd be it. Like, you don't know. So like, if you better be doing like what you love. And if I'm not doing what I love, I'm making sure I'm spending time with like my wife or my friends, people I love. That's what it's about, man. Like, I keep on telling people, you work more than you get to spend with your wife or anything else. Like, make sure you love what you do. Like, if you're a raft guide or like, doesn't matter, dude. Like the Corvette's cool, but like you can rent one too. It's like 200 bucks.
That's a great point.
You can rent one. You know, you don't need a mansion. Guess what? You can rent them. You can live in it for a couple of days. It's still a room you're in. I can only contain like a square foot at a time. You know what I mean?
I love that point. It looks like your camera went out.
Oh, did it again?
Yeah, it's no big deal. But yeah, man, I love that. That's just, that's right, man. You can always partake in those, pleasures that are there. That anybody can take them if you really want them.
Yeah, and you know what? Millionaires love artists. There's nothing like you see those movies. It'd be like only some, who's the guy who did the Campbell Soup logo? I can't think.
Oh, yeah.
He's probably broke for a long time, but he's hanging out with some rich people, crashing on their couch. You know what I mean? Or any musician, they're like, oh, you make some cool music. You can sleep on my couch. Rich people love artists. You know what I mean? They're doing all the stuff that they're not willing to do. That
they wish they could do. That they just sometimes I feel don't have the balls to do that. But it's not just that, because you got to eat, and you do, like, we all have different visions, and some people really want that Corvette, and all the power to them.
Whatever makes you happy, man. And nothing, if you're a car guy, like, man, I've been watching this F1 series on Netflix, and like, man, I would have wished if I could have raced go-karts when I was like 6 and gotten into it by, you know what I mean? That's a cool thing to do. If you're a car guy, man, like that's like it's no different than Glass. Like, ride your wave, man. Like, if that's your wave, like maybe I don't get it. Like, I don't get Mark Cuban's wave, or like, Elon Musk's wave where I gotta be a billionaire. Like, what do you do with that much money? Like, he makes like whatever, $1 million an hour. You know what I mean? What do you if you're up for 16 hours, what do you spend $1 million an hour on? You can't spend it.
I don't think it's about the money at that point. It's about, you need money to do these dreams. I mean, those guys, they're doing shit that people can't do, and it just takes ridiculous amounts of money.
With that said, I guess he is like $1 million an hour is probably flying a rocket to Mars and and tunnels. But for the rest of the billionaires, what are they all doing? I mean, like, how big of a yacht can you have? It's the same thing with a house. You can only be in so much of it at a time. How big of a yacht do you need?
But let them take it, create it, because there's got to be yacht builders, home builders. People want to say, did you see this fucking house I built? Like,
that's true. Like, if I was an architect, I would really want a billionaire around. You know what I mean?
Right.
I'd be like, I've been trying to build a floating house. Like, what do you think about these magnets or whatever they're doing? I get it. Yeah, you need billionaires for innovation for sure. But like, like I said, some waves I don't get. Like, I get for sure, like the guitar wave. Like, I'm gonna figure this thing out. You know what I mean? Like, that I get. I don't know. Maybe whatever. I could live in a shack if I could blow glass. I'm happy.
Hell yeah. Well, with that said, do you got any shout outs or special thanks you want to give out to anybody, or enough said?
Yeah, man. I definitely check out Vittori Glass. He's been, he's helped me out big time. Vogel Glass, we started out together. If you don't know of him, check him out. Raven was super cool to me at Glass Vegas. We just met and he's doing some killer stuff. I did not know you can make marbles this big out of boro, but you can apparently. So check him out. And he was killer to me. All three of those guys have been helping me out big time, introducing me to people they know, and just whatever, man. Those have been killer people to me.
And the best place for us to follow you and see what's going on with you is on Instagram, Facebook. You have a website.
I have ClarkieClark.com. And then we post videos and do giveaways. If you're in the EDM, I don't know what the hell Ryan makes. Whatever kind of music Ryan makes, we post videos and do giveaways and live streams on YouTube, Clarkside Studios.
Fresh.
And then I guess while we're talking, the other thing we just filmed with Steezy Glass, we did a TV show, like an episode that we filmed. My buddy edited, and we're trying to get released. I don't know. We have like the second cut now, and I'm trying to figure out if I want to release a bunch of them together or one at a time. But yeah, that's my COVID project.
Yeah, that's kind of what this is. It was a COVID project, and I was like, I'm a hermit, so I was like, I need to meet blowers out there and shit. So how do you do it? And this has worked out. So
this is a good idea, man. I was like, yeah, man. I was my only concern. I was like, man, like on the internet, you could be like, I'm gonna fuck with this guy. Have you seen like the Boro News? I was like, I hope this isn't the Boro News people, and they're gonna fuck with me.
No. This really for me is like, because I'm a collector. I've been blowing for 17 years, and it's like, how do you get it out there? And even if you get your glass out there and you find a great head shop that falls in love with you, and even better luck, the customers there are falling in love with you. How do they find out you? And like, you can go to your Instagram and see you and stuff and kind of see your art and your progress. But I've always found like, I want to kind of get to know the artist. And so I was like, let's do this, man. Cause I want to get to know you.
Yeah, man, it works really good. You know what I mean? Like, I wish if we were in person, obviously, because there's a little bit of a lag, but yeah, this is a killer idea. And that's the same idea behind my show. I'm like, I don't want it to be about me. I want to be like, hey, look, like this guy, like he's a glass blower and he can make this killer shit. But like Steezy, man, like we went to a skate park and I'm like, holy shit, dude, like you can shred. Like, you know what I mean? And a lot of guys, like they're like that. They can do other things, they can. Like they're individuals, you know what I mean? They have thoughts and ideas. It's just not like a picture and a photo and like, here's my sandwich or whatever cool you're doing at the moment. It's more than that.
So you do you skate then? Obviously.
No, I'm a BMX guy.
All right.
Yeah, when I was a kid, I can't do it anymore, but I could do backflips and 540s and stuff.
Holy shit!
I saw Tony Hawk's last 540 video, and I'm like, I think I could do that one more time by the end of the summer. I just got to find a wooden ramp to do it on. So I think, I can do that stuff. And then I lived in the mountains for years, so we can shred, snowboard. I lived up there for 6 years, without really having a job. So we did a ton of shred, like snowboarding. So yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yourself, you skate?
No, man. I tried to get on the skateboard thing, but went to the BMX because the mountains and hills around here, and fuck, that shit seemed like so much work on a skateboard compared to a bike.
It does. Yeah, and it hurts. You slap the ground a lot more. It's like a lot more of a like, whoa, like, and then you're on your back, like, feeling it's a bike where you can kind of like, oh no, this isn't going right, and kind of like roll away.
Yeah.
It's not so bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Well, Clarkie Clark, this was really awesome. I appreciate your time on this. And I think that's it for me.
Yeah, man. Thanks so much for having me. I really appreciate it. I was surprised that you guys hit me up. And I'll be watching your episodes for sure in the future, man. And yeah, dude, super cool idea. I'm glad.
All right. So that was super cool. I knew checking out his Instagram and whatnot that he did some really cool work. But the drive that this guy does is phenomenal. that was super cool getting to know Clarkie Clark Glass here. Super cool. You need to go follow this guy. It's a must, in my opinion. I want to throw out this also. We got this really cool thing, Elev8 Veterans. It's our 501c3. Check it out. If you feel like you want to help some people out, do some good stuff, this is the thing that is really gonna, give you that good feeling, as well as make a difference in people's lives. We also need some help with our Elev8 brand ambassadors program. Check it out at elev8ambassadors.com, as well as elev8dolls.com. Really cool stuff. You get to earn some credits for free stuff, or it's not really free because you earned it. You get to put smiles on other people's faces. Really cool stuff, and most importantly, you're helping us build Elev8. It's a way of life for me, mind, body, and spirit. Anyways, peace out, y'all. Have a great one.